9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening and welcome to Satellites Live once again. Hello and good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Satellites Live, the youth ministry of St Mary's Reigate, happening at the moment via the medium of Zoom and YouTube and all sorts of technical wizardry, thanks to Mr. Ollie Brown, who will appear later on. My name is Martin Saunders. I'm the youth worker at St Mary's Reigate. With me as always, Charles, who is our children's worker, and Katie, who is so much more than our intern. Hello, guys. How are you doing? What has been, let's just do, obviously things are changing yet again, even since last week. There's a whole raft of new things been announced. So what has been just the highlight of your last 7 days, Charles?
Last 7 days highlight. I'm just going to put it out there. The weather has got better again, and which means ice creams, and particularly my favorite flavor. I don't know if other people disagree with me here, but I think mint choc chip is an absolute classic and is the best.
The winner.
Even though now salted caramel is really sort of caramel is everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a bit overrated, salted caramel. I'm going to put it out there. It's overrated. Do you know what ice cream we do have at the moment, though?
No, go on, tell us.
Get ready for this. Percy Pig flavored ice cream.
Wow. M&S have really gone to a new level.
Yeah. And you'd think, oh, it's just going to taste like strawberry ice cream with some like marshmallows in, right?
But it doesn't. It tastes of pork.
No.
Oh, no.
No, it doesn't. But that's funny. No, it tastes like Percy Pigs. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but like genuinely does taste like Percy Pigs. It's in ice cream form. It's mad.
I don't know if you can beat that, Katie.
My highlight is slightly ice cream related as well, because a group of us were meeting up in the park earlier today, and producer Ollie, who's in the background at the moment, joined us, was part of our group, and brought 4 boxes of ice lollies that he'd very generously kind of went into Morrison's for. And we'd actually already had ice lollies by the time that Ollie had arrived. And so they sat in the sun and basically just slowly melted over the course of several hours. It's very entertaining to,
Did you
experience.
Did you drink them as liquid kind of cold drinks?
No, they are currently in Ollie's freezer, kind of, I think, refreezing and regaining their shape. So not wasted.
That's good news.
Yeah.
My highlight will obviously divide. Clearly, it's not for you guys, but it will divide our viewers. And that was the return of the Premier League. It was like oxygen to my weary soul to be able to watch, and just to have the hope that West Ham United might be excellent. That they might somehow, during lockdown, have suddenly learned how to play football really well, and they would come out of it as a world-beating side. And as the wonderful Twig family well know, that is not what happened.
Yeah, hope was the key word in that sentence, wasn't it, Martin?
Yeah. And now it's just disappointment. So there we go. So I liked football for a couple of days. That was fun. So lots to get on with this. We've got new elements and everything this week. It's very exciting. New things. So I want to just jump straight into the notices, if we may. We're not going to spend very long on these, but these are the things you need to know. First of all, if you're new to us, you will need to know immediately that you need to download the Kahoot app in order to participate in not one, but 2 elements of Satellites Live. You can get it from your usual app store, or you can, of course, play online at kahoot.it, I think. Also, we have WhatsApp groups. You are already talking on them this evening, but people will talk throughout the evening on our WhatsApp groups. If you want to be part of the WhatsApp groups and you're not already, your parents need to email me through the church website and I'll get you added there. And last one from me, follow us on Instagram. You can do that. You don't need to type in the satellites_youth thing. Name. You can just scan this What's It, which is on the screen right now, and that will take you straight to us and follow us, I think. So do that. We occasionally post on Instagram. Katie.
Wonderful. Yes. So this week, as every week, we are answering your faith questions. And if while you're listening, something comes to mind, whether it's during the talk or during this week's faith questions, then of course we would love you to submit them. So this is, of course, completely anonymous. There's a link in our WhatsApp group description. And there's usually a link that goes out at some point during this live stream, but you can very easily find it. Submit your questions about faith, about God, about anything vaguely related to that, and we would love to answer them in a Satellites Live. We have also been talking loads about the Soul Survivor podcast, Take Heart, which is a daily sort of encouragement from Mike and Andy from Soul Survivor Watford. And we genuinely, outside of Satellites, chat about this because it's fantastic content. It's fantastic encouragements. There's a great, you kind of leave with a little bit of biblical truth. I'm learning so much. Really, really enjoying them. These are fantastic. We honestly could not recommend them enough. Very, very easy to listen to. And finally, from me, we have, of course, our Sunday services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. on the St Mary's Reigate YouTube channel. There's new faces every week. There's very familiar faces. And we would love to have you with us. That's also where you can hear kind of more broadly about what's happening in the church. And I know that there's some stuff coming up in the next few weeks that would be great for you guys to hear about and get involved with. So don't forget to join on a Sunday. Charles.
Yeah, so as Martin said, I'm children's minister here, which means that I look after the year 5 and 6 group that meets normally on a Wednesday. And since lockdown, I have been doing videos for them called Satellites 56. And we are following Mark's Gospel the same as you guys. So we really recommend you watching them. I reenact each chapter in 2 minutes. And I play all the characters. That's all you need to know. And I do a little talk as well. So if you want to, and we're a week ahead than you. So if you want to get ahead of this and be the brainiest person in the small groups, then watch them and you can be doling off all the good stuff. Talking of small groups, we have small groups. If you would like to join, then there's a Church Suite sign-up sheet where you can join, where you will get given a link to join us in small groups, which happens straight after this at 8 p.m. And it's lovely to just chat about how life is going, but also to delve into some of the stuff that we talk about on here. So well worth recommending to do that. Katie.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, things are switching up a little bit. So this week we are jumping straight into our Kahoot. So I believe Ollie's going to join us and we'll have the code on the screen for, in a minute.
Yes, we
right
do.
Now.
It is 9600648. That is
the code.
And can I just say, I apologize because everyone has a random name this week that is not your own. No, it's in not the Kahoot. Charles, Katie, and Martin, you are.
We've all swapped names.
You are labelled as different
wow.
people. Martin is labelled as Katie. So.
So I don't think that's the worst one. Let's be honest.
No, it's So anyway, we've got people joining. It's very exciting.
I thought it was going to be like when we had the name. It does the random generator.
The
Angry Kitten.
Yeah.
But when I was testing one of the Kahoots and I tried to put in Farty as a name, and it changed it to slimy wombat.
Really? Yeah, I disabled inappropriate names and.
Yeah, so apparently Farty is an inappropriate name.
Yeah. Well, Martin.
Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. West Ham has joined.
Guide to swearing.
West Ham has joined, Martin. You'll be glad to hear.
You'll only be disappointed.
Marty McFly as well.
Yeah.
Yay!
Wow.
Charles for PM. Charles, everyone wants you to be PM. I think at this point, one of us has got to run.
Yeah.
Just for the people.
Just for the people.
There's also, I promised I'd give a special shout out. The King. There's the King playing today as well.
That is
great name. A very confident name is what I think. Wow. Whether they can live up to their title or not is a.
Did I just see Hudson Littlemore on there?
Oh.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Yeah, the dog that we named last week is already playing Kahoot.
Wow.
Amazing. We love that.
Wow, that is, and Ollie for PM is now here. So there you
go.
The greatest name.
It's an even playing field.
About to start.
I think we're ready to start. Just about.
Fantastic.
Shall we start?
Let's go for it. Yes. So this week's quiz is titled "Who Am I?" in parentheses, just because this is the first thought that came to my mind. And if you love musical theatre, it's the first one that might come to your mind as well. None of the answers are 24601. Okay. First one. This is a beloved children's book character who gets manipulated by a tiny animal. So type in your answer. Who is this? Now, the image is slowly revealing. I reckon some of these are quite easy. So it will be mostly about speed.
Yes.
Typing, but who is this
And
beloved
spelling.
children's book
Speed.
animal?
Speed and spelling.
Yes. Charles,
And you're looking.
Speed and
Yeah.
spelling.
Charles
you're
is
looking-
very sorry about the apostrophe gate.
Yes, I'm
that
very.
happened.
I'm very upset about it. Okay, it's not. Katie, you're looking for the characters, aren't you? Not the.
I am looking for the names of the characters, so not the book or film or TV series that they appear in. Well done. So anyone who wrote Gruffalo or the Gruffalo, because we kind of gave two options there, very well done. Ollie, what are our numbers?
We had 26 people got the correct
Very
answer
good.
on that. We had.
There you go.
I want to shout out one answer, which was the Gruffily. Which is, I wanted it to be called
Amazing.
That is terrific.
I also saw Pom Bear got to go as well.
Oh,
Oh.
Pom Bear,
I
that's
thought it was
brilliant.
Pom Bear.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Oh
Pom
And
my
of course,
goodness.
Thinking of our
this-
children's ministry.
Unexpected item is
Of course.
currently in first
Just on
place,
it.
followed
Well
by
done.
Ollie for PM. So
With a
that's-
lot of exclamation
that,
marks.
yeah, that seems I'm
Now,
impressed.
now is Floppy Dog a computer generated name, or is someone actually called
It's
themselves?
Poppy Dog.
It's actually
It's Poppy Dog.
Poppy Dog.
Oh.
Because we're all squinting at our screens.
Poppy Dog.
By the way, is someone called themselves Floppy Dog in the next Kahoot?
Yeah.
That's great.
That is
Poor
wonderful.
dog
I know
with no
Mr. and Mrs.
spine.
Mr. and Mrs. Bing there in fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a Friends reference from
Little
someone.
Friends
So I don't know
reference.
if we've got a couple playing together. That's lovely. If so,
That is terrific.
There you go.
oh,
Right.
I wonder if they
next
fight
question,
over the
Katie.
screen. Yes, let's go for the next question. This next person is an R&B queen with a fiercely loyal fan base.
are you
Who
part?
is it? I am part of this fan base. I actually am.
I
Is
don't
it-
think I'd be able to spell this person.
Fairly iconic.
Is
I think
it-
I
what
think
is
it's
R&B?
straightforward enough.
Not sure. Right, you got
The
10
genre.
seconds.
Music genre.
Oh right.
Oh,
Oh, I see. Do you know what?
I wonder who it is. It still
an
hasn't-
actual monarch.
yeah, not the Queen or Queen.
Right. Okay.
Let's
Got
see what people have got.
Let's have a
Charles
look.
is Pete. I don't think that's the answer. 14 people got
think-
Beyonce.
Well done. It is in fact Beyonce. I just threw Beyonce in there because I mean, come on, it's
Wow,
Beyonce.
not?
yeah, exactly.
Why
Yeah.
not?
She's got tremendous music.
She has.
Not
Indeed.
easy.
Oh, we didn't mention this yet, by the way. This quiz is titled "Who Am I?" because that is going to appear later in the talk. That's a theme that is appearing, so keep an eye out. Right. Wow. Ollie and PM is like
Yeah,
4
we've had a
PM
big
is really.
leaderboard change. I mean, Ollie's gone up to the top, but Wahoo is in second, and Becky number 1 is the highest climber from that round.
Would you
So-
say that's wahoo or woo?
Oh, woo.
Or,
Yeah,
or
so
even-
that-
Or who?
could be
Yeah.
who.
Who?
There's been a complaint, Katie.
What's the complaint?
That
apostrophe. No, the accent.
the accent.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what? I figured that most people would not enable the accent, and so
That
I did it
is
as a
disgraceful.
courtesy
Oh.
for you guys. That was actually Grace. Don't mistake Grace for judge.
So if people entered the accent, did they actually get it wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no,
So if
My
they
sis-
spelt it
Oh.
right.
it's apostrophe gate all over again.
I
Yeah,
know. Sorry,
This
guys.
is the first
Also,
week.
I'll be honest. It was partly because I couldn't get it on my laptop, and I just did not have the time.
No wonder nobody's entered as Katie for PM.
There you go. Sorry.
Right.
I'm happy to withdraw.
No. Okay. Right.
Okay, next question. This is a character who is equal parts lovable and forgetful. Who could it be?
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's already quite a big clue there. Equal parts lovable and forgetful.
Oh, you can just see the tops of Hishi's eyes.
Good, close save there on.
Thank you. I did not want to reveal anything about this person or animal.
This character has their own film, and I actually cried within about 6 seconds of the film beginning, which I think was like an absolute record for
We
me.
had Jamie Oliver and Nemo, but 26 people got the correct answer, Katie, which was.
It is in fact Dory, who's
Wow.
voiced by Ellen DeGeneres, which is just brilliant.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
Jamie Oliver, lovable and forgetful. They're not two words that
Also,
Very niche.
This was the picture.
brand,
So,
isn't it?
I mean, I know it revealed it like Dory last, but don't know what Jamie Oliver was doing underwater.
I did notice somebody put an E into Dory, which I feel like, although you didn't get it right, it was a moral victory.
Yeah.
There are plenty of moral victories here, but at the end of the day, just sorry.
the
Not
answer.
much of a
Win.
leaderboard change, but the king, who we were looking out for, is the highest climber. So
Oh,
we could see that person.
it's all up for grabs.
Yes.
on the leaderboard.
Fantastic. Are we ready for the next question?
Yes, it's going. It's going
The
ahead.
most famous foster kid in
Ooh.
Britain, who is now, especially if you were sort of, I want to say of our generation, but there's like one generation and then a little bit of a split in this live stream. But
That is
if
true.
you are
Yes,
of my generation,
but she might have returned. Did you
wow,
get it? Did you get
really
it? That
giving out
was-
those spoilers.
Thank
Ollie.
you.
Batman.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right, there's a few squares
You're
that
wrong.
haven't revealed. Yeah, I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't think they're
Yeah.
giving much away at this point.
Right, let's see what people.
Who
have
is
put.
it?
It's Tracy Beaker. We had
It
Oliver
is in
Twist
fact Tracy Beaker.
and Horrid Henry, but 15 people.
Ooh, yeah, very good. I
Got
don't think Horrid Henry's a foster kid.
No, I
No,
don't think so.
it's
No.
not.
No, Oliver Twist was an orphan. A bit different.
Yeah.
He was
But yeah, Tracy
Yeah.
Beaker, iconic.
Ooh. All change.
Who is in?
Woo is in the lead, so that's very exciting.
And we've got the small arenas in second place. They might come back and grab another victory.
Yeah, this
If you're listening and watching this, Woo, and you have the ability to type into YouTube chat or something, we'd love to know the correct pronunciation of your
Yeah.
name.
Yes, by typing it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
You
it's
type
not
it out.
already typed out.
Oh,
Right.
I think it's just like who, but with an extended ooh at the end.
Do a
All
little-
right, should we move on?
Do a voice note on WhatsApp. Right, Katie,
There you
next
go.
question.
Next question is: this is the literal top tier Disney dad character. Now, I might get, I do not want any backlash for this because I
Uh-oh.
stand by this.
Mm-mm.
I don't know
He,
statement.
he is a
Literal
very good-
top tier Disney dad character
that is
does not
very-
get better than this character.
Is Shrek Disney?
Who is it?
No,
No,
Pixar.
DreamWorks.
Shrek is
Oh,
DreamWorks.
it's DreamWorks.
Feels
Oh,
like
that's
you've slipped into opinion rather than fact here.
good. Yeah,
Do you know what, Martin? I made the quiz. Okay.
Well, let's see. I don't actually know what he's called.
Do you not?
We have a lot of people calling it. Oh,
Big Lion.
Oh no, we had
Shout out
a
to Big
lot of
Lion.
Lion Kings and Big Lion, as Martin said,
Oh,
but only two
sorry.
people got Mufasa.
It is in fact Mufasa.
Poor.
Guys, I'm actually so shocked.
This is
How have you
Oh,
not?
The sea captain took advantage of that one and shot up.
Done the sea
The
captain.
sea captain.
Wow.
Oh, that was a tough
Wow.
round. 3 players lost their answer streak of
Sea
4.
captain.
You guys thought it was going to be easy. You saw the Gruffalo and you were like, smooth sailing, but no.
That is a smooth sailing, exactly
Oh,
from
wow.
the sea captain.
Oh
Oh
wow.
my goodness. Right, next
All
question,
right.
Katie.
Next question.
I don't think anyone will get this.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a special one thrown in. But this is, yes, one pharaoh to rule them all. Remember, we're looking for the name of the character, not the film.
Ooh.
Who is this? One pharaoh to rule them all.
We Tracy
Also,
Beaker. It revealed
I'm just
her
gonna-
face first.
It yeah, it did.
This one.
This is Kahoot. This is not
Same
me.
for
This is
everyone,
all Kahoot.
Same for everyone.
Yeah. Do you know this character's name? Also, massive shout out to one of our amazing leaders, Megan, who this will just make her world. I mean, she loves this character a
A
lot,
of
which is
people not even answering.
questionable.
We had Aladdin, Tutankhamun, and
No, oh,
Good shout for Jesus
one
there.
person. May I take a wild guess and say it was in fact Megan who got it
that
right?
would be incredible. Yes, this is Ramses from The Prince of Egypt. again, another classic 2000s childhood movie. Yeah.
You got it
Tutankhamun
right.
is a great shout though, but he is not a character in any well-known children's film.
No,
So,
but it's
Oh,
fine.
so-
but who is still at the top of the leaderboard?
Well, it hasn't changed. So Woohoo, Woo, or Who is currently in first still.
No, that's what Casey said. Casey said, "Who is at the top of the leaderboard?"
Oh right, okay.
He wasn't asking a question.
Oh, I thought she was
It was
asking
again.
who was.
It's very hard to keep up, but now she's on facts.
Well, yeah, but I don't know whether it is actually pronounced Who. So how was
That
I
is-
meant to know?
If
So-
if you named yourself Who just for that gag, that was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, props, honestly.
Bravo.
That is. Good.
Do you guys ever not catch someone's name or forget how to pronounce it and you just avoid introducing them to anyone?
Now
ever?
on, you can just call them Woo.
Okay, this next character is the only rodent you want in your kitchen. Remember, we are looking for the name of the character, not the film in which they appear.
If it's
Ooh.
yes, it is. That this is a great film.
Yes, the only rodent you want in your kitchen. I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
It's
that
also
is
there's
true.
No accents.
No.
Don't do an accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends in an I. Just saying.
No, it doesn't end in an
No,
I.
it doesn't. Ollie, stop giving out
doesn't end
false
in an I.
It doesn't
information.
end in an eye on me.
Wait, what? That's news to me.
We also have a young person in our
Yeah,
youth group,
that's
by the
true.
way, who has this name.
Oh,
It's
whoa!
Fantastic.
Only 4 people got that.
Four
Well done, you
people.
four.
I'm sorry if you put an I at the end
Ah, it is in fact Remy with a Y.
with a Y.
And that one was thrown in for Charles's benefit, actually.
Wow.
Thank you.
That
I'm
was...
Good
actually-
Pixar
I'm okay.
throwback.
Oh!
From it was Remy from the film Ratatouille, by the way, in case
Oh, hang
anyone
on.
didn't know that.
Wow. Who, Woo, Woohoo is dropped down to second, and Parsnip Dad has
Pulled
overtaken-
into first.
An unexpected
Even
item
better.
who was currently not on our leaderboard has pulled back up. So,
There you go, guys.
wow.
I
It's
see
not
the sea
lost.
captain has sunk.
Fantastic.
Very good. May I say the top 5 are all within less than 100 of each other.
Could all win.
So yeah,
Wait,
it's very intense.
One more round in this.
I believe so,
Congratulations,
yes.
Katie.
Last one. Are we ready? Okay, so this is the animal sidekick voiced by Eddie Murphy.
Ooh.
This is a much loved franchise, and this is an iconic character within it. So,
it could
who
be,
did Eddie Murphy voice? Yes,
it could be 2, by the way.
could it? I
Yeah.
didn't actually do that research, but I hope that most people
Well, no.
will.
Wait, does Eddie Murphy
know who
voice
it
both
is.
animal sidekicks?
Yes, he does. He voices another sidekick in another film
Oh, I didn't
by
know
the other
that.
studio.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's see
There
what
you
people
go.
put. Somebody put who's Eddie Murphy.
Oh, man.
But 30
Wow.
people. Wow. 30
Good.
people got Donkey.
That is, in fact,
means
Donkey from Shrek.
It's all going to come down to speed, isn't it?
It's all
Iconic.
gonna come down to speed. Was Parsnip Dad quick enough to take the crown from who? Let's see. The podium for Who Am I? Third
We're all
place.
rooting for who, aren't we?
Who is in third place? Second
Oh,
Still on the
Unexpected
podium, though.
item.
oh,
And in first place was Parsnip Dad.
oh, well done,
Congratulations.
Well
But,
Well
Well
done,
done.
guys. I'm sorry, I did not realise that some of those would be so
It was
difficult,
Bell.
apparently.
It was oh my
But there you
goodness.
go.
Unexpected item lost by 3 points.
Wow.
3 points. That's it.
All speed.
And I'm pretty sure that's like half a second. It's
That's
like
good.
literally like
There
3
you go.
milliseconds. So
Well, congrats.
done.
I think this is Parsnip Dad's first victory. I could be wrong.
I
You might be right.
Maybe second. I don't know. Either way, congratulations. Well earned.
Yeah. No, that is brilliant.
Fantastic.
Well done.
This is wonderful. We're going to go straight on to Charles, who is, I think, introducing our next segment.
yes. Excitingly, we've actually got an intro video for this now. I hope.
Oh, did you want me to play it then? Or-
Yes, please.
Okay, right.
Uh,
Going
here-
in. All right.
I'll just get.
Are back.
Yes, it is our new favorite feature, Ask Us Anything, and we didn't get to play it last week, so we have brought it back for its own little segment this week. So this is the point where you can ask us anything in the comments and on our WhatsApp groups. You go for it. We're going to sit here waiting until you send in a question.
Well, I just realised my mic's still on, so I just shouted to everyone that they are on. So I apologise if you all heard that.
Well, look, that's an answer to a question that hasn't been asked. But yes, Ollie does cue us in. Oh. This is vaguely well run, and we do have systems to make sure that we don't crash the videos. There you go.
I was thinking today, it's like we're doing a sort of never-ending Blue Peter audition tape.
Yes.
But never getting picked.
Yeah. Can I say I have no idea what that is?
Yeah, I'm same. Sorry.
I also think some of our young people will not know that either.
I know
what Blue Peter is.
Well, no, I know what Blue Peter is, but I don't know what.
Ask Us Anything. People, you must know what Blue Peter is, right? It's still a thing.
No, we know what Blue Peter is.
Katie, you're going to excuse Ollie, you don't. Okay, we've got a question. Favorite anime or animation? I'm going to have to go for animation because I can't do anime. I've not watched any.
Yeah.
Sorry. My favorite animation-wise, is probably Into the Spider-Verse. I think it's like a beautiful film, really well animated. But like my favorite animation film as a whole is the 1991 version of Beauty and the Beast.
Wow.
Katie.
Very specific.
Oh, yeah. Again, not an anime person. Really sorry. There is some kind of like animation, like proper foundations from my childhood, but because it was mentioned in the quiz earlier and it is so near and dear to my heart, The Prince of Egypt is undoubtedly one of my favorite animated films. Martin?
I guess probably The Lion King. I feel like The Lion King is
another one.
I could watch that over and over again. There aren't many children's films that I'd say that about. There are many children's films I have had to watch over and over again, but The Lion King is one I'd choose to do so.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. This is good. People do know Blue Peter. This is nice. Cool. We got a question. Why does chocolate taste so good? Who wants to take that one?
Ooh, there's probably a scientific reason for why chocolate tastes so good.
It releases endorphins, doesn't it?
Yeah. But is there something to do with the psychology of chocolate? Like if we were all told that like broccoli was chocolate and it was like wrapped in beautiful like stuff, and we weren't really able to have it as children, and it was, there were loads of different kinds of broccoli that you could get from the newsagent. Would you? This is a weird parallel universe, but go with me.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thought experiment. Would you actually love broccoli like you love chocolate?
You'd be able to see the golden ticket though, because it's sealed in clear packaging.
I don't think that was the thing that he was getting at, Ollie.
I wasn't suggesting that would Charlie the Chocolate Factory have worked as a concept if broccoli was chocolate. That's a different thought experiment.
Well, I thought that was what you were asking, unfortunately.
I think we would probably value it more, but I just think, purely physiologically, chocolate will always win.
Cool. Favorite animal? I don't know if we've had that before, have we?
We had what animal would we want to be?
Okay, great. Let's go.
I said a horse, and Katie said a wolf.
Oh yes.
Who would have out the window?
Favorite animal then?
I like elephants. Actually, oh look, I can show you. I have an elephant that my friend bought me one Christmas and painted for me, and I keep it on my desk.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Now that we've addressed the elephant in the room, Martin.
That was...
Guys, you are sharp this evening. Send this to Blue Peter.
What is that?
What is Blue Peter? I've talked about my love of meerkats on.
Oh yeah.
Still love meerkats, and I like meerkats before meerkats were like a insurance salesman. But I also like lion cubs because Samuel has adopted some lion cubs.
Really running with the Lion King theme.
we like lions. We were going to go and see them, and then we couldn't because of COVID. So one of the things we're really looking forward to about coming out of lockdown is going to visit Samuel's lions.
Oh,
that's really
Samuel's
sweet.
Lions sounds like a great film or book, by the way. Let's make that a thing.
Copyright that, please.
One final question. What do you do in your spare time? I guess this is because people just think that this is all we do. So therefore, what do we do when we're not doing satellites? Let's go to Ollie first. Ollie, what do you do in your spare time?
I was not prepared for this. What do I do? Oh, well, I play Fortnite. That's very fun. Very good game. If you are over the age of
12, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good game.
Katie.
I enjoy, when I can, at an appropriate social distance, spending time with my friends, and just sleeping. I'll be honest, like wherever I can get some sleep, I'll take it. Yeah.
Martin.
I enjoy doing year 1 and year 4 mathematics. That's been a real highlight of the last few months.
Again, with feeling, please.
No, I love it. I actually feel like when all this is over, of an evening, I'll just take myself to one side with one of those Carol Vorderman books and just fill out some maths quizzes aimed at 9-year-olds.
Oh.
I feel like I found my level.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think that's it. Sometimes they push you beyond what you're meant to be doing.
That's right.
Like, just stick to year 1 maths. I don't know whether I should have said that, but
yeah, I don't know if this message is sponsored by St. Mary's.
No, it's not. But but hey, great. Well, that was Ask Us Anything. We might bring that back another time at some point. Next week we are going to be doing a new segment in place of this, which is Martin versus Charles. We are going to do some live challenges, I think, against each other. We're still working on it, but it should be good, right?
Who's excited?
I think I really sold it. Great. Well, now it's the time for the talk. And normally at this point we go, oh, here's someone to do the talk and it's all pre-recorded. But for the first time since I think week 1, maybe even week 2, I am going to be doing the talk live.
Woohoo!
So anything could happen. And so, yeah, not anything's going to happen. I've got what I'm going to say. So here we go. So we have been looking at Mark's Gospel, and we have arrived at Mark chapter 8, which is really exciting because when I read this chapter, when I was doing it for the 5 and 6s, I suddenly realized that this is such an important chapter in the whole of Mark, because throughout Mark, there is this question which just lingers all over the text. It's this question of who is Jesus? And I've done a couple of talks on this, so apologies if you've heard me bang on about this question, who is Jesus, a lot recently. But hopefully you've seen at least one and you've got the gist of it. But the important thing about Mark chapter 8 is in Mark chapter 8, it's like the turning point, because the disciples suddenly realize who Jesus is, in particular one. And actually, the way that it happens is this, is the disciples, despite witnessing Jesus do like several miracles, he's literally walked on water, he's calmed storms, he's healed people. They don't really fully understand who Jesus is. They keep getting surprised by the things that he does. They're like, what? How is he doing this? Who is this guy? And so much so that when they're asked by Jesus himself who they think he is, they give answers that they've heard from other people. So they suggest that he might be Elijah, who is this Old Testament prophet who didn't actually die, but was taken up to heaven in a flaming chariot, which is so cool. That's the way I'd like to go. And you can read about that in 2 Kings in the Bible. They also guess that Jesus might be John the Baptist, who in Mark 6, we find out has been beheaded, which is, again, a great story, by the way. Horrible, but great. And they also suggest some other prophets. But Jesus asked them again, no. He says, I don't want to hear what other people think. I want to hear who you say I am. And Peter steps forward and says, like, he has this revelation. He has something inside of him which screams out the answer. And I don't think he really knew himself that he knew who Jesus was until he said it out loud. And he says this, you are the Messiah. And the Messiah was this promised king who would come and free the Jewish people. And there'd been prophecies about it that date back over 400 years before Jesus was born. And so he names Jesus and he says, you are the Messiah. And Jesus says, don't tell anyone about this. And you'd think that like Peter had nailed it. Like he would be able to forever like be smug about the fact that he was the first disciple to name Jesus as the Messiah, that he would be like the best disciple out of them all. And he could walk around and be like, yeah, I know who Jesus was. Do you remember when I said he was the Messiah? And Jesus was like, yeah, that's right. But about 2 seconds later, Peter goes from being the top of the class to going down the school hall to the headmaster's office, because Jesus talks about his death. He predicts his death, and he says, look, the Son of Man, I am going to be rejected by the elders, by the chief priests, by the teachers of the law, and they're going to put me to death, and then I'm going to rise again 3 days later. And when Peter hears this, he gets really angry, and he's like, no, that can't be true. No, I won't let you, Jesus. That's not going to happen. And then Jesus turns around and tells Peter off. Right? I don't know. I would never want to be told off by Jesus. I think it would be quite scary in some ways, because he's like really lovely. But then I imagine when he tells you off, it's probably like that moment when you've disappointed like your favorite teacher. You know, that like moment where it's like a dagger in your heart, like, oh no, what have I done? And Jesus tells him off. And he tells him off because Peter may know who Jesus is. He may have named him as the Messiah, but he doesn't understand what that means. He doesn't understand why Jesus came. And so from chapter 8 onwards, the question is no longer who is Jesus? The question is, why did Jesus come to earth? And Jesus tells us pretty much straight after why. He says this, he says, whoever tries to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life to me will save it. And I want to make sure that you know that I was talking about Jesus, not me then. Don't lose your life to me. It's not the right way. And what Jesus is saying in that moment is there's nothing we can do to save our lives. There's nothing we can do to secure our place in the kingdom of God, to secure our eternal salvation. Instead, the only way that we can enter the kingdom of God is through Jesus. And Jesus says at the start that he's like, at the start of chapter 8, the like Pharisees are constantly trying to catch him out, demand a miracle from him. They go, if you really are who you say you are, perform a miracle now. And he's like, no, do you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, like, all you want to see is miracles, but actually you need to understand that there's something more than miracles. And I think what Jesus is getting at there, like, and I wonder whether that strikes something with you, that sometimes we just want to see miracles from Jesus. We just want to see miracles. We just do this, God, do that. Like, we'll see the miracles and we'll believe. But actually, Jesus is talking about something much deeper. He's talking about a relationship with us. It's not our actions. It's not our good deeds. It's not our anonymous donations to charities that save us. It's whether or not we know Jesus. It's whether or not we give our lives over to him. Because when we live for Jesus, everything changes. It's that satellites model. It's moving us out of the center of orbit and putting Jesus into the center instead. Because when we live for Jesus, we end up doing the anonymous charity donations, but not so that we can feel good about ourselves or trying to secure our place in heaven, but because we know that's what Jesus would want us to do. That's what Jesus's heart is. And he'd probably do a lot more than just donating to charity as well. He'd do so much more than that. And I'm going to leave you with this. Like, Jesus came so that we could live life to the fullest, not have death to the fullest, but to have life. Choosing to put Jesus in the center of our lives is the most exciting adventure you could have. It's not always easy. Jesus goes through suffering. He goes through pain. I totally believe that when the nails went into his palms, like, he was not like, oh, this is fine, God's doing a miracle. I fully believe that he was in pain, that he suffered through that. And so it's not that we don't have suffering in our lives when we follow Jesus. It just means that there's something bigger than it and bigger than ourselves. And it's exciting, and there's a purpose behind it. And there's real consequences to our actions. And I could go on and on and on. But I just want to repeat that Jesus came so we could live life to the fullest, not have death to the fullest, but to have life. Martin, Katie.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, Charles. Thank you so much. I think that question that was being asked at the time, who was this Jesus who was running around and doing all these things? Who was he? Is still like the key question for all of us today. Like, it's the key question. All of us, it's probably the most important question anyone could ever try and figure out the answer to, because if you believe in the historical Jesus, if you believe that he existed, and as we've talked about before, there's so much evidence that he did, you're then into the question of, okay, so who was he? And as we talked about lots of times, Jesus proves himself, not just through scripture, in lots of ways. Jesus proves himself historically to be who he says he was, which is the Son of God. And then you're into one more question, which is, if Jesus really was God, if this thing that, if this guy that we talk about and bang on about week after week really was God, then what does that mean for my life? Like, why did he come to earth as a man? Why does he want to know me? What is that all about? And as you go through Mark, as you've been doing, we investigate, we go on that journey, we investigate that key question: who was he, and then why did he come? And I invite you to keep asking that question yourself, not just as you sit here and listen to us, but maybe as this week goes on, why not sit and take some time to reflect on that question: who do I really think he was, and what does that therefore mean for my life?
Absolutely, yeah. I would say it more, but I think you guys have absolutely hit the nail on the head. And just also to think that I think sometimes we wrestle with that question for a bit and then we kind of camp out in a sort of, oh, I don't really know, is there any way for me to know place? And actually, whatever pace we're going at, God is gracious with us, but we got to keep moving. We just got to, we've got to keep seeking that truth. We cannot just camp out in, I don't know, I don't think I'll ever know, because there is truth. And, the Bible is like, if you seek truth, if you seek Jesus, you will find him. So yeah, just take that as an encouragement. If you feel like you've kind of got stuck in a rut in terms of like, I'm not really sure who Jesus is, not really sure I'm ever going to get there, keep going. You will. Hold him to his promises, because he will just show you more of himself every day.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. So we're going to go from the sublime to the ridiculous now, because last time, guys, I went out on a limb and didn't tell you what I planned. We had the junk modeling apocalypse. So it's not, I know you guys are not feeling good about this next section. So let's just see how it goes. I thought, since we've done Rank Your Thanks, we've asked you some questions about kind of your likes and dislikes before, but I thought what we'd love to start doing is asking you how you're feeling about life, not just as you go through lockdown, but also as you now look towards the other side of lockdown and the new normal, whatever that is. So we're going to try and take the pulse of our wonderful young people. We're going to try and in grander terms, take the temperature of a nation by asking questions through a series of surveys or a piece of research. And so you're on board with that, aren't you? I can see you're on board with that.
Yeah.
But then it came to coming up with a title. And I'll be honest, I don't feel like I've quite nailed it yet. And so I went through, I was going, puns you can make out of survey, research, polling. I didn't come up with very much. I disregarded When I Survey, which I liked, but didn't really work with our test group. I also flirted briefly with the idea of the Apostle Poll. But well, nobody else liked it.
Oh.
And so welcome to Survey in a Manger. Don't laugh.
I like it.
Wonderful.
Don't laugh. Welcome to Survey in a Manger, our brand new polling section. And so we're going to talk around 4 different areas of life. Some of them are very silly, some of them are a bit more serious. And we want to know how you guys are honestly feeling. We want to know what you think about these things. So as we've got about 35 people signed in already, I think.
Can I just say somebody has entered as Katie for PM, but they've put an accent above the E.
Amazing.
I think it's a little dig at the Beyonce question.
Seriously, there's a higher level of comedy this week.
Yes,
I will take it.
I haven't seen any West Hams pop up.
Well, no, but we just got Soaring Squid 23, who I believe could be an auto-generated name.
Did someone try and put in a naughty name?
Wow.
I wonder.
Well, let's see. Shall we move on?
Yeah, so guys, I'm gonna give you the first question, and this is really probably the easiest one, and that is, how much exercise are you planning to take? So we've over the past few months, we've been encouraged to take no more than 1 hour of exercise every day, but therefore all of us then started to take an hour's exercise every day. My question is, how much exercise are you planning to take once you can do whatever you like? Charles, what do you think?
I didn't realize it was a legal requirement to then take the hour of exercise.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Okay,
You're so encouraged to do that.
I haven't at all.
Oh.
I have not kept to that. I'm ashamed. I would have liked to. I started at the start of lockdown with a list of things I'd like to do. One of them was to get to 50 press-ups in a row. I got to, I think, about 30.
Wow.
And then, when just life gets in the way and you just don't do them for
Were they
another...
full press-ups or knee press-ups?
Oh, no, full press-ups.
Wow.
Full press-ups. But then I've just stopped doing it and completely forgot about it. But then now too scared to go backwards. I don't want to get back to 10. Do you know what I mean?
You were hoping to build that lockdown body, but life got in the way. So you get to vote now. And the question is, when all of this is over, how much exercise will you take? Here are the options. I will keep going out for an hour each day. I'll revert back to my pre-lockdown regime, whatever that was. I'll do a little more than before, or I'm never doing exercise again.
Wow.
So just pick one. And we want to know which of those best fits.
I think me and Katie will be voting for I'll revert to my pre-lockdown regime of none.
Yeah, that does sound like you're
Exactly,
wrong on that
yeah.
side of
Of
things.
none.
I think I will be doing a little bit more. I think I'm consciously going to walk a little bit more than I normally do.
Yeah.
Especially because, the environment has got a little bit better since people not been driving around and all those sorts of things. So, yeah.
Okay, so interesting. No one said I'm never doing exercise again, which is encouraging. About seven people have said they'll keep going out for an hour each day. Quite a few people said they do a little bit more before, but most people think with this particular issue, they'll revert to their pre-lockdown regime. What do you think of that, guys?
Yeah, well, I guess we don't know what their pre-lockdown regime was. So
That's true.
Yeah,
It's
I was just
boring
thinking we
part.
have a lot of sporty kids,
yeah,
don't we?
do.
Yeah. But even sporty kids, do they do like an hour every single day? I don't know. Maybe they do.
Well, you
It's
don't
a
know
lot.
whether their old routine was actually more than they are doing now. You see,
Maybe a flaw in the polling, isn't it?
yeah, with because they could be going to cricket or whatever and doing a weekly thing that they're not doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Or the gym, of course, the gym's locked down.
Yeah,
Not
gym's closed.
people haven't got treadmills; they just have to walk on I don't know.
Water.
Toilet.
Feel free to explain
Regular
your
ground.
answers. Feel free to explain your answers to all of these on WhatsApp or the live chat as we go. Question number 2 is about technology. So, will you, do you think, use technology more or less in the future? So we've got 4 options here. I've increased my tech use and I'm going to maintain that. I've used it more, but I will return to normal after this. I've used it a little bit less, but I'll probably return to normal. Or I've learned to use tech less and I'm going to carry on using tech less. So the question is really, where were you before and where do you find yourself now and what's your hopes for the future? So I'm really interested to know, what do you guys think?
I think there have definitely been a lot of young people using it more, but probably in a different capacity. So whereas before you'd be spending time socially, but all sort of on your phones, now obviously I think there's obviously a lot more use of video calls and probably a lot more texting just because of that gap in social interaction. But I wouldn't say much more because, to be fair, beforehand our young people use their phones quite a lot. Yeah.
But people thought like it was just everything was going to go online and you were just going to use, just teenagers particularly were just going to be glued to their phones the whole time. I don't think that's true. I think actually quite a lot of us have been putting do you see, I've cast myself as a teenager there. Quite a lot of people have been putting their phones down, which is really interesting. Right, let's see what the answers are.
Let's have a look. Ooh, 57% said I've used it more, but will return to normal.
Okay, interesting. So people not expecting to carry through some of the tech use But interesting, like, 9 people have said that they've used it more and they're going to carry on using it more. They've found some things that they like with tech and they're going to carry on doing that. And actually, 5 people there kind of finding some sort of helpful distance from technology, which they're going to carry on doing. Interesting stuff. All right, let's move on to the next question, Ollie. This is a fun one. Which restaurant or chain did or have you missed the most? So I think all of these now you can probably get again. McDonald's, Starbucks, Costa and Nero. I mean to sit down really rather than to just to get, but maybe to order if that's your favorite. Nando's, I know that's going to be a big favorite with a lot of people. Or KFC or similar brands of chicken shops.
Yes.
So which of these restaurants and chains have you missed most? Let's go around the room quickly. Definitely
I'm already
Starbucks.
hungry.
Definitely Starbucks for me, obviously. What about you, Ollie?
Probably Five Guys.
That's not on the list. You've got to pick one of the options.
KFC, probably, if I had to choose from the list.
Thanks for playing along. Charles?
Yeah, KFC, hands down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say McDonald's just because my friends and I would always go through the drive-through, and that was
Have you been back? Have you got one yet?
No, we haven't. We are because I don't want to. We can't all pile into a car, so no.
Now, can I just say this looks a little bit like year 4 maths, but we've got 3 10s and a 7, which make 37.
Wow, good
Wow.
And so, or maybe year 1 maths. I can't remember.
It's a real split.
But we've got 10 who love McDonald's, 10 missed coffee shops, 10 who missed Nando's, and a fewer number who missed KFC. Interesting stuff. All right. Well, one last question for you, and that is, of course, around school. So you can, on this one, you can answer with as many options as you want to. So you can select more than one. How are you feeling about school right now? And these are the options. I've not missed school at all. I miss school itself. I miss being with friends at school. So that's slightly different. We've separated them out. Or I feel stressed and anxious about all the time I've missed. So obviously other things that you could feel about school. But of that list, select all the things that you feel about school right now. I'm very interested to see
Charles,
what people...
how do you feel about going back to school?
Well, I'm a bit anxious to start year 5 again.
Yes. Oh, dear.
Where do you think, anybody want to guess which way this is going to go?
I think a lot of people have missed being at school with friends.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Schools have started up, so some people have been going back to school very rarely, but there are some year groups who are going back once a week at least. So it'll be interesting to see whether that has a sway.
I don't go to school, but I do miss school itself. So yeah.
Did you see there? I managed to get a picture of a socially distanced classroom as well. I was quite pleased with the blackboard, which obviously isn't very current. Yes. So let's see how that one worked out.
Ooh.
Okay, so as predicted, I miss being with friends. The clear winner there, almost everybody said that, but quite a lot of people said they missed school itself, and quite a lot of people feeling a bit anxious about how much time they've missed. Only 12 people, and of course there must be a crossover there with some of the people who still miss their friends, said they haven't missed school. So actually the majority have missed school. So interesting stuff. Thanks guys for playing along. I hope you found that as interesting as we did. We're going to have another round of that next week, but we hope to have a better name for it. We hope not to call it, I can't even remember what we called it, something ridiculous. Anyway, that's it from me. Let's go to faith questions.
No, God has forgiven me for some upset about what I've done. What should I do?
Okay, great. So great question. Thank you. Thank you for sharing quite a personal question there. And you're absolutely right to assert that if you've asked God for his forgiveness, absolutely, we can guarantee to you that he has forgiven you. Jesus comes to forgive all sins, and however big or bad they might feel to us, they're all in a sense the same to him. He's dealt with them on the cross, and you are absolutely forgiven. Now, you've said that in your question, but you need to hear it again. Now, sometimes though, our mind plays tricks on us, and we feel like maybe that's not true for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes we see the consequences of the thing we've done, and we still have to live with those consequences, even if we have been forgiven. So at the very extreme end, if you commit a crime, you might be forgiven by God for committing that crime, but you still have to go through the justice process, and you might still have to take a punishment for that. But the actual sense of guilt is taken away by what Jesus did on the cross. The sense of shame is lifted when we take responsibility for what we've done and we ask God to forgive us. And there's just one thing I'd love to read to you from the Bible. One of my favorite verses from Psalm 103. And it says this from verse 11: "For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far as he removed our sins from us." As far as that's literally as far as you can get. It's sort of a metaphor. As far as you can get, that's how far he has removed our sins from us. So you need to absolutely continue to believe that and own that, and hopefully that will help you to get some of your feelings of shame that are understandable about that thing into perspective. I hope that helps. Question number 2 from Zachary.
God loves us all the same. Why do some people get healed and some don't?
Great. This is a tough question, and it's a question that I've struggled with in the past and still kind of do a little bit. But I went to the Bible straight away because that's a good place to get these knowledge from. And there is a verse in Matthew 5, verse 45. And it says this: "The rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous. The sun shines on the righteous and the unrighteous." And basically it's saying that, bad things happen to good people, and bad things happen to good people and bad people, and good things happen to bad and good people. It's weird, but that is the case. And the real thing that I want you to get is that God doesn't cause bad things to happen. So God's heart is not for bad things to happen. It's sin that causes bad things to happen, and I think Kate is going to talk about that a little bit later. And the important thing is to remember that, like, this life isn't all that we are promised. So even though I said that, like, Jesus came so that we could live life to the fullest, and not death to the fullest, it's true. But there is also this hope and this promise of eternal life, but also a new creation where there is no more suffering and no more pain. And so therefore we have to continue to trust that God has us in his hands throughout the tough times, throughout when things go wrong. I really recommend this today's Soul Survivor podcast, which talks about this into a little bit more depth. But knowing that even if things go wrong, I will still worship God. Not what if, but even if I don't get healed, even if my friend doesn't get healed, I will continue to love God and continue to trust God. And that is the important thing. It's a very big question to answer in like a minute. But really recommend that Soul Survivor podcast. To the next faith question.
Didn't God stop Eve from taking the forbidden fruit if he really cares for humanity?
This is a great question. I think it's one that we all come up against at some point. The short answer is simply that God did not create us so that he could make our choices for us. He created us genuinely for the complete purpose that we would trust him, and then through that trusting that we would love him. And so when he made Adam and Eve, he told them very specifically, it is not a good idea for you to eat from the fruit of this tree. And he gave them the choice to trust him, because love isn't love when you don't have any other choices. And so it was, they had the choice. Were they going to trust God that what he said was right? Or not? God deeply cared for them. And that's why I believe even before Adam and Eve sinned, even before sin came into humanity, God already had that rescue plan in place. He was like, I know that there is a chance this is all going to go downhill. And so I am already forming a plan for how I can gain these guys back. So I think it doesn't actually, when we look at this story, it's not actually about how could God care for humanity if he let this happen? It's, wow, God cares for humanity so much that even when we make the wrong choices, he gives us a way out. So yeah, it's hard, it's a tough thing to grapple with, the idea that actually God has put so much of this into our hands, but he is doing all of the other work behind the scenes to make sure that however many wrong turns we make, we have always got a way back to him. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm sorry that those faith questions felt very rushed, but I hope that you got something from them. Don't forget that we've got small groups coming up, and don't forget to send in your faith questions as well. We are very excited to just hear from you guys, and kind of through the faith questions we get an idea of where you're at, and that's, yeah, it means a lot to us. I think we're just going to end with a prayer and then sign straight off. So Lord Jesus, thank you so much for your goodness, and thank you for this time that we get to spend together. Thank you for your word and the truth that it brings to our lives. Would we just be seeing more of you? In every area of our life, as lockdown lifts, but also as we deal with some of the restrictions that are still in place. Would we just get to know you better in this time? Would we be making those conscious choices to draw closer to you and to choose you at every opportunity that we get? I just pray your blessing on these guys. Thank you so much for them. Help them to know how much you love them, how much we love them, and we miss them. Pray your blessing on everyone for this week. Would we be living in ways that glorify you? We love you so much. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, guys, so much for joining us for another Satellites Live. We love you, we miss you, and we'll see you soon.